The first Conjuring film introduces Ed and Lorraine Warren, a married pair of renowned paranormal investigators and demonologists. Throughout their illustrious career, they have taken part in many supernatural cases, and they begin their next case in the year 1971 to investigate the paranormal claims of the Perron family. Roger and Carolyn Perron and their 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April, move into a new home and are immediately plagued by paranormal happenings. Every clock in their home stops working at 3:07 a.m. Carolyn wakes up every night with new bruises on her body, the family dog is found dead in the yard, and Christine is confronted by an evil spirit. During the Warrens' investigation, Lorraine realizes that the house itself is not haunted, but an evil spirit has latched on to the Perron family, meaning there is no escape from their torment aside from vanquishing the threat. The Warrens discover that the spirit is Bathsheba Sherman, a Satanist and accused witch who sacrificed her own baby to the devil at 3:07 a.m. 1 century prior, cursing all those who attempt to take her land from her. In the years since, countless deaths and murders have taken place around the property, all at the hands of the vengeful Bathsheba. Bathsheba then fully possesses Carolyn and attempts to use her to kill her own daughter April. The Warrens seek the aid of the Catholic Church to send a priest to perform an exorcism, but there is a delay due to the Vatican debating on whether or not to assist the non-Catholic Perron family. And so, while Lorraine distracts Carolyn and the possessive spirit, Ed performs the exorcism himself, banishing Bathsheba to hell. In the end, the Perron family are finally safe and at peace, while the Warrens return to their home, adding a new memento to their collection of cursed artifacts from previous cases, which includes a demon-possessed doll known as Annabelle. The story of Annabelle begins in the film Annabelle Creation. In 1943, dollmaker Samuel Mullins and his wife Esther grieve the loss of their young daughter Annabelle, whom they affectionately called B. In their grief, the couple prayed for B to return to them, inadvertently summoning a malevolent demon which takes possession of one of Samuel's porcelain dolls. This Annabelle doll attacks and disfigures Esther, prompting the Mullins to realize their terrifying mistake and seal the doll inside B's closet in the hopes of containing it forever. 12 years later, the Mullins invite Sister Charlotte and a group of orphan girls to stay in their home after the orphanage is shut down. One of the orphans, the polio-stricken Janice, accidentally releases Annabelle, allowing the demon to freely terrorize the home. Annabelle throws Janice down a flight of stairs, leaving her wheelchair-bound and forced to live on the ground level, while her friend and fellow orphan Linda lives on the top floor alone, with no one to protect her from Annabelle's terror. Annabelle then possesses Janice, granting her the ability to walk once again, and compels her to kill Samuel Mullins. Sister Charlotte seeks answers from Esther, who explains that the demon possessing the Annabelle doll is searching for a human host to permanently possess, meaning Janice's body and soul are in grave danger. Annabelle then kills Esther and tries to murder Sister Charlotte and the rest of the orphans. In the end, Sister Charlotte is forced to seal the possessed Janice inside B's closet in order to save Linda's life. But as the police arrive to investigate the Mullins' home, they discover that the possessed Janice has escaped. Using Janice's body, the demon begins using the name Annabelle and is adopted by the kindly Higgins family, who are unaware of the horrors that await them. The story continues in the film Annabelle. The year is now 1967, and an adult Annabelle has joined a satanic cult. Alongside her boyfriend, Annabelle returns to the Higgins home and slaughters her adoptive parents. When the Higgins neighbors Mia and John Form call the police, Annabelle and her boyfriend attack them as well, stabbing and seriously wounding the pregnant Mia. The police arrive to save the Forms, killing Annabelle's boyfriend and prompting Annabelle to sacrifice herself while holding the vintage porcelain doll that John had bought Mia as a pregnancy gift, which just so happens to be the original Annabelle doll made by Samuel Mullins. The Forms then move into a new apartment, and as Mia recovers from the attack, she gives birth to a healthy baby girl named Leah. Unfortunately, the Form family become plagued by strange supernatural occurrences, which they suspect are connected to the Annabelle doll. But despite trying to rid themselves of the doll, it somehow manages to always return to their possession, escalating its terrifying supernatural attacks. Mia and John seek the aid of their kind new neighbor Evelyn and a priest named Father Perez to combat the demon-possessed doll. Father Perez warns that the demon-possessing Annabelle has targeted Mia to become its new human host. Annabelle kidnaps baby Leah to force Mia into accepting its possession, but instead Mia grabs hold of the doll and threatens to sacrifice herself to end the demon's reign of terror. Evelyn intervenes to stop Mia, sacrificing herself instead, hoping that defeating the demonic Annabelle and saving baby Leah will allow her to atone for accidentally killing her own infant daughter in a car accident. In the end, the forms are finally free of Annabelle and allowed to live in peace with their daughter. The Annabelle doll is then taken to Ed and Lorraine Warren, who contain the demon inside a spiritually blessed glass case in their artifacts room. The story continues in Annabelle Comes Home, where 4 years later in 1972, the demonic doll has remained trapped inside the Warrens' artifact room. When Ed and Lorraine depart to investigate their next case, they leave their 10-year-old daughter Judy in the care of her babysitter Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen's friend Daniela is grieving the loss of her father and hopes that one of the Warrens' many supernatural artifacts could allow her to speak with her father one last time. Unfortunately, while browsing the artifacts room, Daniela accidentally releases Annabelle. To aid in her demonic quest, Annabelle releases other spirits trapped within the Warrens' home, including the ferryman who tortures souls after their death, a suit of samurai armor possessed by the spirit of its villainous wearer, the bride, an evil spirit who possesses brides into murdering their grooms, a haunted board game known as Feely Mealy, and a hound from hell known as the Black Shuck. As the evil entities attack Judy, Daniela, Mary Ellen, and Mary Ellen's boyfriend Bob, they all work together to seal Annabelle back inside her glass case, putting all of the other spirits back to rest. The next day, the Warrens return home and learn about the eventful night that occurred in their house. Lorraine forgives Daniela for her recklessness and even brings the girl peace and closure by delivering a message that her late father had sent from the afterlife. The Warrens' next case involves a demonic nun whose origins were first depicted in the film The Nun. In 1952, the St. Cartha Monastery in Romania is attacked by an evil demon that begins killing the nuns. When the body of Sister Victoria is discovered by a local villager named Maurice, he alerts the Catholic Church. The Vatican sends the experienced Father Burke and the nun-in-training Sister Irene to meet with Maurice to investigate the claims of a demonic presence. Amidst this investigation, Father Burke is plagued by hallucinations of a young boy he failed to save during an exorcism, while Sister Irene is the only one allowed to enter the monastery, as only nuns are permitted inside. There she learns that the remaining nuns pray at all times to keep the evil demon at bay. Burke, Irene, and Maurice discover that the monastery was built in the Dark Ages by a duke obsessed with the occult, who performed a satanic ritual to summon the demon Valak out of hell. Christian knights killed the duke and sealed Valak inside the monastery's catacombs, but bombings during World War II reopened the rift to hell. Valak was free to escape, posing as a nun to taunt and kill the monastery's inhabitants. And that's when Burke, Irene, and Maurice realized that all of the nuns are dead, and Irene had simply been interacting with their spirits. Sister Victoria had been the last remaining nun, who sacrificed herself to prevent Valak from possessing her body and escaping to the outside world. As the film comes to a close, Burke elevates Irene to a full nun, and they work with Maurice to seal the rift and defeat Valak once again. Irene lures Valak into a trap, and as the demon tries to possess her, she defeats it and closes the rift using the blood of Christ. Unfortunately, as the group depart the monastery seemingly victorious, Burke and Irene are unaware that Maurice has been possessed by Valak. The story continues in The Nun 2. Sister Irene is now working at a convent in Italy where she is tasked with investigating a series of deaths in Europe, feared by the Catholic Church to be caused by Valak. And so Irene begins her investigation, now partnered with the novice Sister Deborah. The pair learn that Valak was a former angel cast out of heaven and stripped of its powers by God after aligning with Satan. Now Valak is searching for the eyes of Saint Lucy, an ancient relic which could restore the demon's angelic powers. Irene and Deborah track Valak to a French boarding school where the possessed Maurice now works as a handyman. Maurice has developed a bond with the school teacher Kate and her daughter Sophie, unaware of the violent violent acts that Valak is possessing him to commit. When Maurice is confronted by Irene and Deborah, Valak fully takes control of his body to fight them. Valak attempts to kill Irene by setting her on fire, but she is protected by the relic as she learns that she is in fact a descendant of Saint Lucy. Irene and Deborah then pray to God to turn barrels of wine into the blood of Christ, defeating Valak once again and seemingly allowing Maurice to live in peace with Kate and Sophie. 20 years later, the Warrens encounter an older Maurice who has become possessed by Valak once again. While attempting to perform an exorcism on Maurice, Lorraine is attacked by Valak due to her being a descendant of Saint Lucy. Unfortunately, the Warrens fail to save Maurice, who ends up sacrificing himself to prevent Valak from using him for any more violence. The story continues in The Conjuring 2. The year is now 1976, and the Warrens have continued taking on various paranormal cases, though Lorraine has become plagued by visions of the demonic nun Valak, showing the death of her husband Ed. The Warrens' next case involves the Hodgsons, a financially struggling family living in London led by the single mother Peggy and her children Margaret, Janet, Johnny, and Billy. After moving into a new home, the Hodgsons begin suffering from terrifying demonic occurrences, including Janet becoming possessed by the home's previous owner Bill Wilkins, who demands that they leave his house. When the Hodgsons are accused of staging the hauntings as a hoax, the Warrens arrive to prove the validity of the paranormal occurrences. British paranormal investigators Maurice Gross and Anita Gregory revealed to the Warrens footage of Janet intentionally destroying the family's kitchen, seemingly proving the entire situation to be a hoax. But as the Warrens abandon the case and depart for their own home, Lorraine has another clairvoyant vision, realizing that the spirit of Bill Wilkins is being manipulated by the demonic nun Valak. Valak had been terrorizing the Hodgson family to draw the Warrens to their case in an attempt to kill Ed and Lorraine, as their expertise as demonologists threatens the demon nun's existence. The Warrens race back to the Hodgson residence where the possessed Janet is about to be led to her own death by Valak. Ed intervenes to save her, and Lorraine realizes that this is the moment from her previous visions that resulted in the death of her husband. Desperate to save Ed and the Hodgson family, Lorraine confronts Valak and calls it out by its name, gaining power over it and banishing the demon nun back to hell. In the end, both Ed and the Hodgson family are all saved thanks to Lorraine's efforts. The Warrens then return to their home once again, adding another artifact to their supernatural collection. The next case for Ed and Lorraine Warren is depicted in The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It. In 1981, the Warrens assist in the exorcism of a young boy named David Glatzel. When the demon grows too powerful, threatening David's life, Arn Johnson, the boyfriend of David's older sister Debbie, allows the demon to possess him instead. As Ed witnesses this action, he suffers a heart attack. As Ed recovers, Arn is compelled by the demon to brutally murder his landlord by stabbing him 22 times. The Warrens lend their support to Arn and his legal defense team, and the court case becomes the first in American history where demonic possession was used as a defense claim to prove innocence in a murder trial. While investigating the demon possessing Arn, the Warrens seek the help of Kastner, a former priest who is now an expert in the occult. Kastner reveals that a witch's totem found in the Glatzel family's home was placed there by a cultist from the Disciples of Ram, which cursed David and led to his initial possession. A similar totem is found in the home of a woman named Jessica, who became possessed and similarly murdered her friend Katie by stabbing her 22 times. Ed begins to feel the effects of the occultist curse when a totem is placed in the Warrens' home, compelling him to attempt to stab Lorraine to death, though fortunately he is thwarted. The Warrens then learn from Kastner that for the curse to be fully lifted, the occultist altar must be destroyed. Kastner also confesses that years prior, while still a priest, he had led an investigation into the Disciples of Ram and adopted a young girl named Isla to protect her from the cult's clutches. But as Kastner's devotion to vanquishing satanic worshippers consumed his life, Isla also developed an obsession with the occult and became a devoted follower, and is now attempting to appease a demon by delivering it 3 human sacrifices. To thwart his daughter, Kastner helps Ed and Lorraine find her secret altar, though for his betrayal, Kastner is killed by Isla. Isla then curses Ed once once again to kill Lorraine, but she manages to break the curse on her husband by reminding him of their love for each other. And so, Ed destroys the altar, lifting the curse on himself and Arn, while Isla is killed by the demon for failing to deliver the human sacrifices. In the end, Arn is found guilty of manslaughter, though he marries Debbie in prison and only serves a 5-year sentence. The Warrens return peacefully to their home once again, where Ed not only places a new memento in their artifacts room, but also builds Lorraine a replica of the gazebo in which they first met as a sign of their enduring love.